Good morning to everybody. What's up, party people in the house? It is Wednesday. It's Wednesday. It's time for your favorite unk here. And man, I think we got a hot topic to discuss, an interesting topic for us to discuss. Trey Wisner. Should he stay or should he go? I think that's a good conversation for us to have. We haven't really discussed it much this week, so I want to go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. We're hitting almost at 200K. We're not going to advertise that too much because if we say anything else, the other channel will drop another 100K in a week. So I don't want to piss them off, but we're just trying to get to where we need to get to. So if you can subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, let's absolutely do that. Let me just hit this retweet button and let's get this party started because here we go. That's a good gift. The time is now. All right, y'all. Hope everyone's doing good, by the way. Hope everyone's having a fantastic holiday week. So there's a conversation to be had. I'm going to put this down just a little bit. It's a conversation to be had as relates to Trey Wisner. And it makes me think about this because obviously we're seeing and have seen juniors across the country decide like, hey, I'm skipping out. And I'm going to go ahead and go to the draft, right? And that's mostly for teams that are not going to be in the playoffs, right? It's one thing to skip the bowl game because it is what it is, but for the teams that are going to the playoffs, usually those guys will say like, I want to stay for the ride. And so for guys who've already like the Ant Hills and DeAndre Moores of the world, what was always been communicated to me, which is, hey, if those guys, if Texas is playing in a playoff game, those guys are going to be there. For the bowl game, not so much, right? So we're already seeing Ant Hill decide, all right, I'm going to go ahead and go pro. And that makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons, right? We understand that Ant Hill's a baller and he's all these things. Besides being a baller, he's just a great human being. That being said, he's just a great human being. I like to really start with that and then get into the athletic portion second. Just a great young man. His parents did a fantastic job raising him. No matter what he does, he's going to be really successful in life. So you got Ant Hill that goes there. DeAndre Moore, another great person as well. But DeAndre Moore decides that he's going to go. And DeAndre Moore is a little bit more nuanced because I don't think DeAndre Moore was as cut and dry. And good morning to all y'all who's here in the chat. Stephanie, Money B, Darian is in here. All you guys in here. I see Ant is in here. Court is in here as well. Ted is here. And I know Rodolfo, the biggest hater in the world, is coming at some point. And there's too many to name, right? Catherine, everybody. So anyway, the DeAndre Moore decides that he wants to go into the draft, and there's some nuances to that one. It's because at the end of the day, an argument could have been made for DeAndre Moore to come back. But I don't want to name the other channel. I don't want to piss them off. They'll grow their Mark. They'll grow that channel by like 500,000 in 2 weeks. I don't want. I'm like, no, please don't do that. Nah, they cool, man. Bobby's cool. I like Bobby. Bobby and I are cool. So I'm just joking. Right? Bobby, please don't do it. Please don't hit the detonator button. Please, Bobby, please. Anyway, the DeAndre Moore conversation was a little bit more nuanced, right? Because of that. But he decides at the end of the day, hey, I'll take a gamble on myself, feeling like, hey, if he runs a good 40 times, a good chance maybe I get drafted, so on and so forth. And at that point, if you feel like you maxed out here at Texas, then it kind of is what it is. The Quatravian Wisner conversation, though, is a little bit different, right? And so, because I find it fascinating because even you guys in the chat, like it could go either way. Like it could literally go either way. And so I'm going to break it down. I've done a lot of research. I really kind of had to crunch the numbers, really do some analysis on this, and really, hopefully by the end of this, we figure out, hey, this is what it is. Like if the Wisner family was like, Honor, what do you think? You're going to be our advisor, right? But no, but maybe they'll watch this thing and they're bored. But no, they kind of sound, I believe they check out the show. A lot of parents check out the show here and there, which I do appreciate. So let's talk about when it comes to Wisner, right? It's about facts, it's about context, and it's about risk. Okay. And Wisner, he has to make a decision about whether to return to the NFL draft, or even return to Texas. If we're being quite honest with you, does it go to the NFL draft? Does it go to the States? Does it stay here at Texas? Um, because I don't. For me, it isn't as much about the. Do I think he can make it in the NFL? It's more complicated in that. It's more about like the risk of leaving now as opposed to the risk of coming back, right? It's that risk of which one does he want to do, which makes this whole conversation brutally complicated, right? Because it's not as cut and dry where you just look at him and you say, "All right, this dude just ran for 1,800 yards. This is a no-brainer." Okay. And let's get into right. So Wisner's a guy, when you look at his career productivity, 369 carries, 1,000, this is career wise, 1,734 rushing yards, 4.7 yards per carry, nine rushing touchdowns, right? He's got 66 receptions, 457 yards receiving, two receiving touchdowns. Here's the thing that kind of stood out to me though, when I looked at the numbers for him. Do you realize in 3 seasons, he doesn't have a fumble? A fumble. Now, he may have put the ball on the ground at some point, right? And maybe he recovered it, but he has not fumbled the ball as a ball carrier at Texas in 369 carries. That's damn near impressive, right? So overall, he's got about 2,200 yards from scrimmage, right? Now, he does have 1,000-yard season. We know that he's got the receiving ability, and knock on wood, to his credit, whether it's his credit or just being fortunate and the God smiling upon him, whatever it is, no real major injuries, right? So from an NFL perspective, pretty good. You can tell yourself, yeah, this is pretty good, right? Pete says he has in the bowl game versus ASU. Was that recovered? Did he put the ball down or did he not? I don't. On ESPN, they don't have him credited as a fumble. So just tell me that, Pete. Again, I don't remember seeing every game, but I'm glad you do. Let me know what this thing. So here's the thing when it comes to like running backs and especially like juniors, right? Running backs as relates to the NFL are typically judged on what you've proven you can survive. And the one thing they also like is that they also like guys who don't have a ton of wear and tear on them. They do like that. They do value that. They do value guys who don't have a ton of hits. Like the more hits you have in college, often that's the worse it is for you in the NFL. They're like, he's hit too many times. The less is the better, right? But if you've proven yourself, that becomes something that they get really, really excited about. And now, look, when you've got to fall into one or two buckets when you're coming out, right? You got to either be a person who has very elite traits, or you got to be a person who's had like some massive usage and you're kind of like a workhorse back, right? And they just saw it, right? Because at the end of the day, you got to show the NFL that you could be a guy that can take about 200 carries a year. Even though they may not require that from you, you still got to be able to show those things, right? So does he fall into the guy that you say he has elite traits, whether it's speed, right? The ability to run over somebody, run through somebody, whether it's cutting, whatever that is. Do you feel like Wisner has those elite traits? Or do you feel like he's had like that massive usage where it's been like absolutely proven? A guy like an Ashton Genty comes into play when you start thinking about him. Ashton Genty comes out after his junior season. And it made all the sense in the world, right? As a sophomore, he rushes for 220 yards. Excuse me, I apologize. As a sophomore, he rushes 220 times, 1,347 yards, 14 touchdowns. As a junior, he rushes for 374 times, 2,600 yards, 29 touchdowns. At that point, there's so much usage on you. You're like, man, you can't come back. You're only hurting yourself if you come back. He doesn't fall in that particular category. Good morning to you, LaMarcus. I hope you're doing well as also. Thank you, brother. He doesn't fall into that category, right? When you start thinking about some of the juniors, right? I think it's an easy one. And I don't have that, we start thinking about massive usage. Another guy that's easy for us, and we all remember Bijan Robinson, right? At some point, it said, Bijan, you got to leave, man. You got to leave. Like, it only makes sense for you to leave, right? You're one of the best in the country. If you come back, it's going to work against you, right? You don't need to get that many more hits. And now look, we see Bijan in the NFL. Bijan is absolutely balling, right? But that's what he did. Another guy reminds me of like Deontay Foreman. Y'all remember him? What game was it? Was it the Kansas game? I think that Deontay got like 50 carries. I think it was something like that. I think it was that Kansas game that Texas lost. And I think Deontay had like about 50 carries. And at that point, you just, Deontay, all right, you got to go, right? So he doesn't necessarily fall into, hey, high usage rate. In fact, you can almost argue that his usage rate went down last season with CJ Baxter around, right? So, and yes, is Atlanta wasting Bijan's good years? Absolutely. But we'll get it. That's a different conversation for a different day, but you're 100% right? So he doesn't fall into that, but he falls into the category of, hey, but really productive back in college. And this is what makes this thing, it makes it so hard to figure out, because he's kind of in that middle ground, right? He's very productive. He's very efficient, right? But he hasn't had the workload that you would say to yourself, okay, like, this is it. Does he have the speed to do that, right? Jaden Blue, he knew what he was probably going to run at the combine. So it made it easy for a Jaden Blue, right? It's kind of like, I know what I'm going to run. Now, the tricky part, if we stay with Jaden Blue, is, and I think this is a little bit of difference here, but Jaden Blue, we see it at this point in the NFL, it's like, yeesh, right? He's falling into that category like, oh boy, you kind of digging yourself a little bit of a hole there, Jaden. You're gonna have to climb yourself out of it, right? And so, and even though Jaden Blue had that fast time, what's up, CB? Even though Jaden Blue had that fast time, he still was a 5th round pick, right? So it wasn't like, oh, well, Jaden Blue ran that time and that put him in that 2nd round money. It still was like, ugh. Now he's in the NFL. He's collected an NFL check. What does that NFL longevity look like? That's what we don't know. And look, when I start thinking about him, let's do like our pro and con list, right? If you come out now, look, at the end of the day, coming out earlier gets you in line to the NFL sooner, right? Because at the end of the day, in the NFL, running backs ain't hitting their 2nd contract. You got to be special. You've got to be, you got to be special to get to your 2nd contract in the NFL. Like, they don't want to pay you. Running backs are disposable commodities in the NFL. They just churn them year after year after year after year. Just is what it is. Get one, all right, we're going to draft another one. We're going to bring in all these undrafted free agents, right? They're disposable commodities. So if they're saying to yourself, look, I just want to get to the NFL. It's just my goal. It's just my dream. It is what it is. Then you say, all right, I'm the guy who's the guy to replace the older guy. And he's older in the NFL is like 27, 28, 30 as a running back. You're like, oh my gosh. He's like the Phillip Rivers of running backs, right? That's crazy that he's coming back too. But that's what that is, right? It's so so if he says to himself, like, hey, I want to be like next in line, then that's okay. And then I'm going to see if I can get I want to get this hold on, see if I can get this thing up to you for you, right? Salaries. I'm going to get this in real. I wish I had a producer. I say that, then I complain sometimes, and then I'm like, damn it, Tyler, about things. But hold on, I want to see if I can look at this. I want to put this up here as well. Oh, let me put 2025. Give me 1 second. This will be good stuff. Don't worry about it. And so then, and then you say to yourself, I got to get in line, in order to be the next in line. Okay, that part, nothing wrong with that, right? If you just say, I want to get to the NFL. And there's guys who have been like that. Remember, like Lil Jordan Humphrey. Lil Jordan Humphrey was a guy that just said, like, I just want to go to the NFL. And it doesn't matter to me where or where not where I'm going to be drafted. He just said, I just want to go. And if this is that simple as I want to go, it is what it is. Who's the other guy? There's the guy, Chris Warren. He's the other guy that said, hey, I just want to go to the NFL. And Chris Warren is a crazy tale, right? Because Chris Warren literally is lighting up the NFL preseason. He gets hurt, and then that's the end of it. And then we really don't hear from Chris Warren again. And there's reports that he came back, he was out of shape, all those kind of things. But he was a guy that just said, I just want to get to the NFL. So if he says to himself, hey, it's just about getting to the NFL for me, so be it, right? And we'll get into like the pays and the pay grades and all those kind of things. And look, right now, if you look at his productivity, he's a draftable commodity. He's definitely a draftable commodity, right? I mean, he's efficient. He's got ball security, which is no small thing. You look at him as a guy that says, okay, he's a guy that can play on special teams. Look, at the end of the day, again, Keelan Robinson was fast, but Keelan Robinson was a 5th-round pick. And we're just talking about running back versus running back. If we're just talking about running back versus running back. No disrespect. My theme for the past couple of weeks. But no disrespect before I disrespect somebody. But running back for running back, not adding in special teams, but just running back for running back, Wisner is a better running back than Keelan Robinson, just as a running back. I'll say that. I'll stand on that. Now, all purpose, because of Keelan, as far as what he did on special teams, maybe as an all-purpose guy, then you give Keelan the edge. But if you're just saying running back, Wisner's the better back, right? So you have that working in his advantage. And when you go, because running backs aren't as valued and they can stack up running backs later and cheaper, there's no real loss for anybody who takes a running back nowadays, right? I think it's okay. Now, the cons and look, there's a pro of this. There's another pro of this, by the way. There's another pro for this. If you're Wisner and you're saying to yourself, all right, Sark has already put out the bat signal that they're going to bring in some more running backs. Well, you could say to yourself, well, hell, if he's put out the bat signal that we're going to bring in more running backs, there's more running backs in the room. Do I want to go ahead and spend next year fighting out somebody else for my number one spot, even though you have all the confidence in yourself in the world, but you got a new running backs coach who you don't know if he rocks with you or doesn't rock with you. You don't know that. He might think you're great. Or he may look at you and say, I didn't really recruit you. Don't really know you like that. I think you're cool, but I like these other guys that and I like these guys. This is the kind of back that I want in the room. Do you fit the mold? Like if you are, Wisner, you got to look at the running backs that he's had and he's worked with. Do you fit that mold of running back? Right. So if there is a thing where it's, hey, if I got to prove myself to a new running backs coach, why not prove myself to a new running backs coach in the NFL as opposed to proving myself to a new running backs coach here in college that could potentially affect my draft stock? Right. So there's that portion of it as well. Right. So there are some pros for him to say, like, I'm just going to do this, even though we can honestly say he's not a first round pick. That's no disrespect. Not a first round pick. And he may or may not be in that second day range. He's probably more day 3 at this moment. And day 3 comes, with risk. It's funny. I always tell parents of college kids, one thing I always tell them, I give them any advice for their kid who's going into the NFL draft. If the kid's not going to be in New York, right, and you haven't been invited to New York, do not have a draft party. I will stand on that. Let me go sidebar for a second. Do not have a draft party. It is the worst thing that one can do is have a draft party. Why do you say that? Oh, okay. Many moons ago, I covered, speaking of running backs, I was a high school writer, and I covered this guy by the name of Travis Henry, who is a running back out of Frostproof, Florida. Small little town, Orange Grove kind of town. I thought Lakeland was small. This was a smaller, right? But he was the best running back. I honestly was one of the best athletes I've ever seen. He is the best. He's the best high school player I've ever seen play. The best. Okay. Y'all have y'all best that you've seen. For me, this is my best. He's on my Mount Rushmore. His senior year in high school, he rushed for 4,087 yards and set a state record in the state of Florida for rushing yards, right? He also played defense. He went on to the University of Tennessee, played really well there. He was with Jamal. I forget his name, but there's 2 running backs that were there. Anyway, so long story short, Travis is going to have, and I followed Travis. I knew his family, all that, right? It ends up being a really tragic tale as relates to Travis, right? But stay with me for a second. Story time with Anwar. And so Travis decides they're going to have a draft party. So they're thinking they're going to be a high first round pick. So they got everything out there at his mama's house, right? They got the cookout, everything is going. Everybody's excited. They got the TV there, like, and everybody, it's a party, right? Everybody's having a great time, right? The first round starts, first couple of picks, and everybody's like, okay, is this going to happen? And then it keeps going, and you never realize how long a first round is until you at someone's party. You don't realize how much time it is between picks until you're at someone's party, right? And so he finally ends up being drafted, I want to say at the end of the first round. But here's what happened. And this is what happens damn near at most draft parties. The player ends up leaving. They just leave. It's too much because everybody's there. Everybody's looking at him. Everybody's like, you good? You're all right. You're seeing players that you feel like you're better than getting drafted ahead of you. And everybody, it just becomes a tense. And all of a sudden, that festive party just becomes like a funeral. It sucks. I've been to many of them. I remember I was talking to, and this is just, I spoke to another family. I won't be specific. Well, if I'm not specific, then you guys will figure it out. I'll just say like this: there was another family that went to Texas, and I told them the same thing, and I gave them that story. I was like, "Don't do it, don't do it." They thought they were going to be a first round pick. It did not happen, and the party. He left the party. I'm just saying. You know why? Here's my general rule of thumb. General rule of thumb. Take this. I am imparting my years of wisdom. I want you to take this, grab a hold to this, and you will make you the smartest person in the room. Hear me out. Whatever they say someone's draft grade is, add like a 2-round margin of error. If people think this person might be a 3rd-round pick, add a 2-round margin of error and say, okay, they're saying 3rd, that means it could probably be 5th. They're saying 4th, that means it could be 6th through 7th. If they're saying 5th, that means it could be from 5th anywhere to undrafted. You got to add a 2-round margin of error. That's my golden rule when it comes to the NFL draft. Because guys drop all the time, and what's on one person's board may not be on another person's board, or they fulfill that need. There's so many things, and so you think to yourself, you might have been high here, but now they already got some. They don't have a need, or some 2-round margin of error. So anyway, I'm just saying. Now for him, the cons are when if you're a day 3 pick. Now add in my margin of error, which is if you're thinking 4th round, could be 6th. You may be in your 5th. And now let's talk about money. So let me show you this. Let me show you this. This is a good thing for y'all to have. Let me see if I can put this. I'm going to put this on the screen. Here you go. All right. So let's talk about the money. Okay, let's get money. I gotta take y'all off real quick. All right, let's talk money, and then let's enlarge this just a little bit so y'all can see this. This is a good exercise for you. Okay, make sure you guys can see it. Okay, make sure you can see that pretty good. Okay, so this is 1st round money. Okay, this is Sport Track. You guys can look this up whenever you get bored or want to do something. Now, Ashton Genty, who's a junior, comes out. We know what his productivity looks like. 4-year deal. This is what the value of his contract is. You can see right here, right? So you've got the idea of what this looks like in the 1st round. Okay. Now let's go. He's probably not 2nd round, right? So let's go high. Let's go if all goes well. And let's say he is Caleb Johnson. He's got a 4-year deal worth about $6.3 million. Is this ABV? Is this the sign-in bonus? What are they don't list that as specifically. Okay, but let's go back here. So 4-year deal worth about 6.3, right? Let's go down to round 4. Let's say it's a 4th round guy. It's probably where we're at. Now he's somewhere in that potentially 5.2. That's if you make it all 4 years, by the way. You're Jarquez Hunter. You're at that 5.2. Okay. Let's go down to Jaden Blue. Now you're now here 4 at 4.6. Did it give me? Let me see if they give me the. All right. So you signed a 4-year, $4.6. He's got a sign-in bonus of $427. $427 is guaranteed. Annual salary of 1.1. Okay. So now when we start looking at what his sign-in bonus is and what's guaranteed at this moment, now you start talking about, okay, you definitely got to make that. You got to make a team every single year. The question is, from a financial standpoint, can you make more at Texas, more guaranteed money, more sign-in bonus money? Can you get $1 million at Texas and try to improve your draft stock? Or do you just say we'll accelerate it and we'll just all things are equal. If we get this kind of money, we're good. Right? That's what you got to start thinking of. Like if you get that kind of money, are you good? Or do you roll the dice and say, man, I think it's worth coming back. Like that, these are decisions that have to be made. I just want to kind of show you the financial part of that conversation, right? And put this thing back up, and then we get the chat back up so y'all can be chatty chat on the screen. I like to make y'all part of the show. So you have, here's the other thing. Now if he's a day 3 guy, that's a short leash, not as much guaranteed money, probably fewer reps, and you may have top talent, but you're replaceable. You're absolutely replaceable, because at this point when you're in the NFL, it's not about, hey, are we developing you? It's about, are you developed? And if you're not developed, then we just replace you. That's how it is. They're not taking the time to say, hey, man, unless you are top first, second round. But I mean, let's be honest. How much development is it there for Bijan Robinson? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's think about this just for a second. Play along here. Y'all saw Bijan his entire career. What really did that running back coach in Atlanta have to do with Bijan? Seriously, you know what I'm saying? Like when he's like, hey, Bijan, let me teach you how to make a cut. Let me teach you how to cut on a dime. Let me teach you how to accelerate. Let me teach you how to find the hole. I know whoever that running backs coach is like, man, screw you, you little peanut head guy down here in Austin. I get it, but it's not about developing, in that level, right? The other part, like I said, because most running backs don't get to your second contract, the con is, hey, like if I leave now, could I be leaving some money on the table? If all the money is equal, if I come back, can I get more? To that maybe second round range, third round range. Like, of course, ideal world, you blow up in its first round money, right? But at least that second or third round money. So Roschon Johnson kind of money, right? At least in that third round range, right? But then there's the other risk, which is, okay, there's the injury portion of it. Your usage is not guaranteed, right? There's a diminishing return. There's all those kind of things. And you've got the new running backs that you've got to compete against, right? So at the end of the day, it's not really for Trey Wisner, it's not about right or wrong. It's really about like, well, what's the risk can they live with? Can they live with the risk of coming back, risking injury, does this running backs coach really rock with you? Usage. Are they going to improve the offensive line in front of me? Right? That's a real thing. Are they going to improve the offensive line in front of me? Are they going to be better? Or risking saying, all right, but I'll come out now, but maybe I'm a day 3 pick. I've got a hard road to climb. I got to, I really got to make the team kind of thing. I'm in the NFL, but the NFL it's the acronym. It stands for not for long. That's what the NFL stands for. It stands for not for long. That's the slang for it. Is he there? These are the things that he has to weigh in his head. So, all right. The Wisner family says, hey, Onward, what should we do? Bottom line, what should we do? I would tell them, believe in yourself, come back, put in another year. I don't think your stock's going to be hurt if you have less usage. I think you can only go up for the most part, barring anything crazy. You can only go up. And if you got a better offensive line, and you've had the conversations knowing that the offensive line will be better, then yeah, you might be able, whoever they bring in, it might be, look, if they bring in the next Bijan Johnson, I just did Roshan and Bijan. If you're going to make Bijan Robinson and you're Roshan, and for some reason you're Robin the Batman, first round, third round. It's just that simple. Um, but I think you can improve your stock. I think the money's equal. And at the end of the day, it's not going to hurt you. And you come back, you're the franchise guy, you're all these things. I think it only helps you. But I will also say this. If your heart, though, is saying NFL, and that's always been the dream, and the dream hasn't been college, but this is the dream, and that's what we want to, and we've got the opportunity to do it, and we're going to seize it, then I can't hate on that. And I can't hate on that decision. I would say come back, but your dream is your dream. And sometimes with your dreams, you gotta bet on yourself. You got to take a gamble on yourself. And we all have done that, right? Many of us. We have moved from state to state for different jobs. You've quit a job to say, like, even though you felt like it was okay, you wanted something better, right? You've gone to college, like all these kind of things. So I'm never going to hate somebody. Some of you guys have started your own companies, right? Somebody, some things happen to you. Like things happen. So if that's the dream, then go ahead and do it. It is a hard decision. It is a hard decision. There's no easy answer. What should Wisner do? Put that in the comments. If you're Trey Wisner's advisors, what would you say he should do? I want you to put that in the comments here in the comment section of the video. And here's the other one, because I like this topic. Friday, Trevor Gooseby. Ooh, what should he do? Let's find that out. We're going to talk about that one on Friday. Until then, remember I always say, live each day like it's your last. One day it will be. Go out, have a fantastic day, and I'll be back soon. But let us know what Wisner should do Friday.